Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
I'm Khalil Ekalona, and this is Nashville. Have you ever been described as being stubborn as a mule? Look, you don't have to defend yourself. We get it. Mules are steadfast in their presence, and they get the job done. Though sometimes you may have trouble coaxing them to do the work. Sounds like the average teenager to me. But in all seriousness, mules are some hard-working animals, and in Maury County, people gather to celebrate these loyal beasts. How was Mule Day started? What is the event like? Later this hour, we'll take you out to Mule Day, and we'll learn more about these hardy workers. But first, on Friday, a federal judge issued a temporary injunction on Tennessee's proposed drag show restrictions, which are set to go in effect on Saturday. In a 15-page decision, Judge Thomas Parker said that the law was too vague and is overly broad. The challenge to the law was brought to the courts by the Memphis-based Friends of George's, a theater group that raises money for the LGBTQ community. Shelby County District Attorney Steve Mulroy has stated that he does not object to the temporary pause. Here with me now to talk about the injunction and what the next steps could be is Veronika Electronika, drag queen for 20 years and former guest of the show. Joining her is WPLN's Mariana Bacallao. Thanks to you both for being here. Welcome back to This Is Nashville.
Thanks for having us.
So, Mariana, can you tell us about the plaintiffs? What's their argument?
Well, Friends of George's, like you said, it's an LGBTQ theater company. They do original plays and skits to raise money for nonprofits. And they argue that the law violates their right to free speech and that the language of the law is overly broad. In this filing, they write that they have an all-ages drag show coming up pretty soon, and they want to be sure they won't be criminalized for it.
So the judge sided with this theater group. Why?
Judge Thomas Parker, a Trump-era appointee, he agreed and in his ruling says lawmakers, quote, miss the mark. He also asks what a lot of people have been asking about, what sorts of locations the law would apply to. He points out that it's unclear if the restriction would apply to a private home or a campground at a national park. It's just too broad, he says, when other First Amendment constraints are very narrow and specific.
Mm-hmm. Now, the defendants named in this case are Governor Bill Lee, Tennessee Attorney General Jonathan Skrmetti, and the District Attorney for Shelby County. What did they argue?
The state argued that the theater company's all-ages drag show wouldn't violate the law because it's not harmful to minors, which is interesting because there's really a disconnect between the public messaging around this law and what this law as written actually does. It was talked about as a ban on drag in public spaces. It was introduced after a Jackson City Republican tried to stop drag shows from happening in public parks in his own hometown's Pride celebration. But the proposal got watered down as it went through the General Assembly. And what's left is just the obscenity laws that are already in place with the addition of, quote, male or female impersonators, which is a reference to drag without outright putting it in the law. There's a sense from legal advocates that the intention of this law alone and the messaging around it will have a chilling effect on the drag scene and larger LGBTQ community in Tennessee. So the state saying that an all-ages drag show is fine and doesn't violate the law kind of begs the question, what exactly is this law regulating? And the judge writes that the state hasn't given him an answer yet. But as for Memphis DA Stephen Mulroy, he seems to agree with the plaintiffs that there should be an injunction. His office hasn't said whether it will be enforcing the law.
All right, so he agrees. Tell us, what's unusual about this injunction?
So this law has been temporarily blocked. That's pretty normal in cases like these. A law that would have required trans-friendly businesses to put warning signs outside their bathrooms was also temporarily blocked and then struck down altogether. But that injunction was good for several months. This injunction lapses in just 14 days. It's a little unusual, but this whole lawsuit has been made of pretty quick turns. It was filed a week ago today, and an injunction was granted Friday night, just hours before this law was set to go into effect. That could be indicative of how the judge is feeling. He writes that he sees 3 ways the plaintiffs would ultimately succeed using their First Amendment argument.
All right. Now, Veronika, I want to turn to you. Tell us, how are you feeling now that this law has been blocked for 14 days?
Well, I think that it's amazing progress that we have amazing advocates on our side that are fighting the fight, and that there are countless organizations throughout the state, including that wonderful organizations out of Memphis. So I'm glad that, we've been saying this all along since the bill's inception, that it is too vague. It does not stand up to merit. It violates, First Amendment rights of all citizens, especially LGBT citizens. So I'm glad that somebody with a gavel is able to bring that to the attention of the state. The state knew what they were doing. They heard us say exactly these things, while we were in subcommittee and committee and on the floor of the General Assembly. So I'm just so glad that we finally have proof that there is grounds here for this law and these bills to be violating the First Amendment. So I'm glad that it's happening. I'm hoping that the lawsuit will continue in our favor, and that between now and the end of the 14 days, a bigger decision will be found, and the law will be taken off of the books permanently. And if the state does that by amending its current laws to satisfy their base or whatever, that's fine. But the language in identifying male and female impersonators really just doesn't need to be there. It's a danger to especially our trans brothers and sisters. That language in there just doesn't need to be there. And we all want our children to be safe, but we have bigger problems in the state, like gun safety, and it has nothing to do with drag shows or anything like that. So we have other bigger fish to fry, and I'm hoping that the state government will finally see that.
Well, on that note, some of our guests on the show have shared that there's a real fear in the LGBTQ community after the shooting last week. Has that affected your plans at all?
No.
I'm sorry, I couldn't get you.
No.
No, not at all. Okay, so but since the Covenant School shooting, there have been many attempts to scapegoat, the trans community. How do you respond to that?
I'm choosing not to answer that question because it's a very sensitive topic. I am not transgender. I think you can fill up a whole entire show with that. I'm here to speak about the drag bill and how it affects me as an entertainer.
All right. Well, tell me, what are your hopes for the next steps in this legal challenge?
I just really hope that the lawsuit goes in the way that it's going, and that the state realizes that they're fighting a losing battle, and that they could be spending time and efforts and our taxpayer money in much better ways, and that these politicians from these small cities, realize that they can't vilify LGBT people in laws like this. But there are so many on the books right now, and the slate of hate in Tennessee, as well as many other states, have just been really super laser focused on LGBT people, especially trans people, and trying to vilify them with access to healthcare and access to our First Amendment rights. And it's crazy. And I hope that this judge and his message and his response to this bill will finally get it through their head, and other states will stop pursuing bills like this because they see that it's already being challenged in court with a pretty good list of reasons why it wouldn't hold up in the court system. So I'm just hoping that some of the other states will just drop their bills and not pass the laws altogether.
Veronika Electronika is a drag performer and LGBTQ rights advocate. She was joined by WPLN's Mariana Bacallao. You can find our ongoing coverage on the state's proposed restrictions at WPLN.org. Veronika, Mariana, again, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having us.
We have to take a short break. When we come back, we're taking you out to Mule Day to learn more about this long-running festival. Have you been to Mule Day? How was your experience? Tweet us at This Is Nashville. We'll be right back.
Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Music City Prep Clinic, Nashville-based provider for PrEP and offering comprehensive sexual health services in an environment designed to be safe, professional, and shame-free. Learn more at musiccityprep.org.
I'm Khalil Ekulona, and this is Nashville. Every spring, the people of Maury County gather to celebrate mules. The event is known as the Mule Day Festival. What goes on there? What can people do? What is a mule? We sent our special correspondent, Chris Crofton, known to many Nashvillians as the Advice King, to Columbia, Tennessee, to check it out.
Check. Okay, check. Hey. Hi, I'm Chris Crofton, and I'm here in Columbia, which is hosting the Mule Day, and this is Muletown Coffee.
Yes, my name is Elena Rhodes. I'm 31, and I am from Santa Fe, just outside of Columbia.
We're at the Muletown Coffee Shop, which is on the square here in Columbia, which is much more hipster than I expected. Are you excited about Columbia becoming like a hipster place?
Yeah, it's been fun to watch Columbia grow over the years because I've been here my whole life, and it's grown a lot, and there's a lot more to do around town now, so it's been fun.
So Mule Day is happening now, and I suggested to you that maybe I should get kicked by a mule. I should try and provoke one of the mules for NPR. Like, it might be nice to catch on tape me actually being kicked by a mule, but you said no.
I just don't think it'd feel too good. You know, I've been kicked by a horse before, and it's not good. It'll linger with you for a while. You'll be in pain.
How did you get kicked by a horse?
I was training a new horse that I had, and I guess I did something to spook him when he was behind me, and he turned around and kicked me right in the back.
Did you fly through the air like in a cartoon?
Not quite. Not quite. Maybe if I'd been a little bit closer to him.
Do you think I'm going to get kicked by a mule today at Mule Day?
I hope not. I don't think so.
Do you have any mule flavored lattes here?
No.
Do you ever garnish any of the lattes here with mule hair?
I've thought about it.
I'm Renee Lance with the Maury County Visitors Bureau.
And?
Tammy Southern with the Maury County Visitor Center.
I'm surrounded by mule propaganda here. So you guys definitely seem like the right place to ask a couple questions about Mule Day. Tammy, in your experience, are people in Maury County stubborn like mules to be on brand, for example? Do the kids like Mule Day, or are they like, Mom, I don't want to go to. Do you go to the Mule Day, or do you just like hype it and then stay home? I'm just wondering how long you've been interacting with mules or hearing about. Do you ever get tired of hearing about mules in this town?
No way.
Is this because mules are great, or because mules are a great driver for the economy?
I think mules are a great drive for the economy, and I think it makes us unique.
Maury County, is it still largely like agricultural? I mean, there are people still like trading mules. This isn't just theater.
This is not. And actually, we were in the Grand Canyon last year, and the mules were from Columbia, Maury County.
Oh, so you guys are like known for the actual mules, not just having Mule Day.
No. It's huge. We are known around the world for the mules.
Oh, so this is like the Clydesdales are famous from wherever. Where's Clyde? Like wherever Clydesdale.
Yes.
Yeah, Clydesdale, wherever it is, England or something.
Yes, that's what, because you can't breed a mule with a mule. So you know how you get a mule, right?
I read about it on the internet.
Oh, you did?
Last night. I was under the impression they were standalone animals, but it turns out
That they are not.
yes, it's a horse and a donkey.
Mm-hmm. That makes a mule.
Hi, this is Chris Crofton reporting for NPR. This is Nashville, arriving at Mule Day. I see mule dung in the high school parking lot. I'm right next to Central High School in Columbia. The parking lot, I think I might be in the wrong parking lot because I am now exiting with the entire student body. School has just gotten out. It's Wednesday? I'm Chris Crofton, and I'm reporting for NPR. This is Nashville about Mule Day, and I am here in Columbia, Tennessee, awaiting the arrival of the mule train. And I'm looking at a mule. There's a mule right here, and he looks very handsome. or she looks very handsome.
My name is Gus, and I'm 9 years old. I have fun. I like watching the mule pull.
The mule pole. I watched it on YouTube.
Yeah, I watched it. We have it in the dirt arena over there.
Dirt arena. That's cool. Does it get crazy? Are people like rooting for their favorite mule and yelling and screaming?
Yeah, sometimes.
Does it get rowdy? Has there ever been anybody? I guess I'm, for some reason, just as a person who doesn't know much about mules, I'm always imagining people getting kicked all the time. But I don't think it happens as much as you probably think, right?
No, it doesn't really happen very much.
And are mules nice? Would you say mules are nice?
Yeah, the ones that I've been around have been nice.
How about donkeys? Have you ever met a donkey?
I've been around 1 or 2 donkeys.
How do you compare the two? Like, what is a mule nicer than a donkey? How's a donkey's attitude? Are they snooty?
A donkey is... I like mules better than donkeys because I don't really know why.
Here come the mules.
Joining me now, thanks to our Mule Day correspondent, Chris Crofton, for that report. Joining me now are some of the folks who make Mule Day happen. I'd like to introduce Harvey Spann, who helped restart the event in 1974, and Louise Mills, the head of PR. Harvey and Louise, thanks for joining us, and welcome to This is Nashville.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you both being here. So we just heard the mule wagon arriving last Wednesday. That's a pretty big moment for the Mule Day Festival, right? Harvey, set that scene for us.
Well, actually, the mule wagon train leaves out a designated place away from the park on Monday of the week of Mule Day, and they travel 3 days around the country, or 2 days basically around the country, and the third day they leave that destination and come back to Maury County Park. It's usually about 30 to 50 wagons, families, some horseback riders, some muleback riders go along with them. So it's a pretty big event. And the third day they come in here, and that's 1 day prior to the Mule Day festivities starting, which start on Thursday.
How many people line up on the streets to welcome the mule wagon train?
Very many of them, quite a few actually. It being a Wednesday, things here at the park have gotten underway as far as preparing for Mule Day and for the people coming to camp. We have several hundred people that come and camp during Mule Day, and they're usually always here on Wednesday before the wagon train gets here. So especially the new people that are coming to Mule Day this year, we've let them know when the wagon train is going to arrive, and they will line the streets in both directions from the park here, which at Maury County Park is where the event is held. But people really look forward to the train coming in because that's a lot of people's first sight of mules and wagons together.
Mm-hmm. That sounds pretty cool. Now, Louise, we just heard a little bit from this year's event. Tell us, how did it go?
This year's event was fantastic. We did have one little hiccup when the storm came through on Friday night, but everything cleared out, and we had a fantastic parade on Saturday.
No one was injured during the storm, were they?
No one was injured. No accidents that I know of. So I think everybody had a good time.
Okay, tell us a little bit about the parade.
The parade is usually made up around about 350 or so entries. It was very windy this year, so it was hard to hold on to your flags and stuff, but they made it through just fine. It has a grand marshal, an honorary grand marshal, and a mule man, and we had Mike Wolf of American Pickers as our grand marshal.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's really cool. Now, I wondered with the storms, how do mules behave when it's stormy? Are they rather calm? Are they steadfast? Or do they get a little freaked out because of the inclement
Probably
weather?
handle it better than we do.
Okay. That's something good to know. Well, tell me this. Who was the honorary Grand Marshal?
I, Louise Mills, had the privilege of being the honorary Grand Marshal, and I received that invitation because of the years of service that I've put into organizing in the club and so forth.
Congratulations.
Thank
Now,
you.
as the honorary Grand Marshal, do you get like a special scepter or a sash or anything like that?
No, but I actually got to ride behind Mike Wolf in the parade.
That's pretty cool. Now, Harvey, tell me, like, what are some of the highlights for you at this year's Mule Day?
Well, this year's Mule Day had pretty much the same events that we have every year, but we had a new event, which was a pack mule demonstration that went on at 2 separate times here at Mule Day, and that gives everybody a little insight to how the pack mule is used out west and a lot of the mountain trips and so forth, and that was new. We had other shows that we added this year, which was loading. They call it feed time, and it's the use of the mule and taking feed to the rest of the farm animals and so forth. And it's basically a mule or 2 mules pulling a sled, and they haul feed around. And it was a judged event, so who did it the best and the most smoothly and got the job done in the shortest amount of time were the winners, of course. And it's a spectator-judged sport, as we do with a lot of our events here. We let the clap of the audience give us their winners.
That's right. Vote by the people. Now, I have a question. I'm concerned for these mules that were walking around feeding everyone. Do they get to eat first, or do they eat after the other livestock eats?
I'd like to say that our mules here that come here are very well cared for. I mean, these people love their animals. They take good care of them, and none of them are abused. They're very well cared for, and that is just a show. But in actuality, that goes a lot of our people that own mules try to find uses for them on the farm rather than just being parade animals. They actually use them in some events or some task at home.
Mm-hmm. Well, tell me, how many people attended this year's event?
It's just difficult to explain or give an actual number to that, but we had a real, not necessarily a record attendance, but we did have a real good attendance this year.
All right. How about the mules? How many mules are a part of Mule Day?
That again, it's hard to count, but our shows, actually, some of the shows we had, for instance, we have a beauty contest for mules. For those that don't know, it's called a halter show for the mules, and they show them against other mules and the conformation of the mules, the condition of the mules, how the mules actually act and everything make up the ones that win.
Okay. So for the champion mules, what do they get? Do they get like a bushel of carrots?
No, they're give them the goodies sometimes during and after and before the shows. But now what they get is a rosette, and some of them win money. Sometimes it's a jackpot events and such as that. And if it is, they'll win some monies.
What's the biggest jackpot?
I don't know. I'd be just to guess. It's not an enormous amount, but it's enough that it interests people to show.
This is really cool. Now, Louise, I can only imagine that you yourself are incredibly busy during the festivities. But tell us, what is your favorite event to watch?
Since I have been in the office managing position for several years, I very seldom ever get out and actually watch any of the shows. So it was a treat this year to see some things. And, of course, the mule shows are always fun.
That's right. Well, I'm glad you got to see it as the honorary Grand Marshal. If you're just tuning in, everyone, this is Nashville, and I'm your host, Khalil Lake Alona. We're talking today about Mule Day with Louise Mills and Harvey Spann. Tweet us your comments at This Is Nashville. Now, we can't talk about Mule Day without talking to a mule owner, right? My next guest is just that. I'd like to welcome Kevin Vaughn to the show. Kevin, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So as a mule owner, I can only imagine that you get pretty excited for Mule Day. Tell us, how long have you been coming to the event?
Ever since I was a baby, they brought me to Mule Day, and it's been a family event that we try to go to every year.
You've been doing it your entire life?
Yes.
Well, what are some of your favorite memories about Mule Day?
Participating in the parade with other folks, going over and seeing the mule pulling over at the fairgrounds. They have a lot of events for the kids to participate in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Has there been one moment, like in childhood, that you just will remember forever?
One time they had this mechanical bull set up out there, and I enjoyed that as a kid.
Oh, you got on that?
Yes. Yeah.
How long were you able to hold on?
Oh, I wasn't on very long. They took it easy on me because I was a kid, but that wasn't there this year, but that was my most memorable time of Mule Day.
Nice. Maybe one day.
That's right.
Maybe now you can do the 8 seconds, right?
Could be.
Okay. Though, how has it changed? How has Mule Day and the events, how have they changed over the years?
They have different events over there. Like this year, I watched the log pulling that they had. Sometimes they have it where they load the logs onto a wagon, which is a very skilled event for the old timers to participate in.
How big are these logs?
They're anywhere from a stovepipe size to probably a dump truck tire.
What? That's a pretty big log. So these mules are pulling that? One mule can pull a big log like that?
Yes.
Strong animals now. Now, Louise, Kevin mentioned something about kids' events. How about the kids? Like, what is there for them to do on Mule Day?
Well, we always have events for the children because they get tired of looking at the mules and all the pretty stuff up there. But there are things that the children can enjoy, anywhere from inflatables to pony rides to the water balloon things where they get out in the water and ride. I got to see that this year, and I hadn't seen that before. So that was kind of neat, where the kid gets in that balloon and then they zip him up and he goes out in the water and plays.
Oh man, that sounds fun. I can
Fun to watch, but there's a lot of things for the children to do as well as things for them to eat, and just keep the children entertained.
What is your favorite Mule Day treat to eat?
Probably the fried Snickers.
Fried Snickers. I haven't had lunch yet, so thank you, Louise, so much for that. That's something I'm going to have to try to find somewhere here in Nashville. Now, I understand that there is a Queen of the Court competition before the festival begins. Who was the queen this year?
This year's queen was Addison Codling, and then she had runners-up. The second place was Anissa Grimes. Third was Kennedy Bragg. Fourth was Ava Sykes, and then the Congeniality Award went to Gabriella Reeves. So we had a nice group of ladies that represented Mule Day during all the festivities and went around town promoting Mule Day for us.
So that's the responsibilities of the Queen and her court to promote the Mule Day festivities.
Yes.
Okay. Harvey.
And then they are awarded money, and they get a reward at the end of when they complete their term.
Well, tell me, what goes into this competition?
Well, they normally wear evening gowns, and then they have 3 judges that judge it just like any other pageant. When you see the pageant, you wouldn't know it's the Mule Day Court because they are dressed in their gowns and evening wear and all that kind of thing. They look really pretty, and they do this in February, so by the time Mule Day rolls around, then they've had time to select what they actually want to wear during the festival. And when they do that, then it's a more Western attire for them.
Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if they have to do anything like, demonstrate how they can work with a mule or ride a mule.
No, believe it or not, most of those girls don't know anything about mules. They've been raised in the city. We only had one lady this year that actually knew about the mules.
I'm wondering if mule trivia will be a part of next year's competition. Now, Harvey, Do people sell mules at Mule Day?
There's a lot of trading. Well, originally this was a trade day. It originally started out years ago as a trade day. And over the years we have had a mule sale, but because of, our local sale barn burned down, we stopped our mule sale. But a lot of private sales go on during Mule Day, both for mules and for anything that is used with the mule, harness and such.
How much does a prized mule cost?
Well, it would be scary to tell you. Right now, teams sometimes bring anywhere from $15,000 to $30,000 for a real nice team, and some of the number one teams, large mules, they go higher than that.
Wow.
It's a market governed thing, and the fact that the mules are in short demand right now, it makes them worth more.
Mm-hmm. I hear that. So, now speaking of prized mules, what is the top mule designation for the festival?
Well, there's King Mule, and it can be a mare mule also. When we have our show here on the grounds, they crown a King Mule.
Well, who won this year?
The mule that I can't tell you. I'm just sorry I can't tell you who won it this year, but it's one every year that wins it, and they used to ride in the parade, but they don't do that anymore because of the problems incurred with doing that. So, but they are here at the grounds with the show, and the show is ongoing all day, so putting them in the parade, they wouldn't be able to show.
Mules need rest, particularly if you're the king mule. And so tell me, what makes a winning mule? Like, what are some of the qualities that you're looking for?
Conformation, condition, just general appearance. And, it's just judged like a beauty contest for horses or for mules. And they judge them against the other mules. So it's normally a really attractive mule. Of course, you have to get an eye for that. You develop that over the years and knowing, what is expected. But if you're getting a using mule, personality is worth a whole lot as far as not necessarily good looks, but to get both of them together is a feat, and that's what drives the prices up for that particular mule. If they've got good personality and they are trained well and so forth, they bring more. And I would like to say something about what was mentioned earlier about the mule being stubborn, and sometimes they do appear to be stubborn, but really they just have to be familiarized with what you want them to do. They have a learning curve just like we do, and you have to familiarize them with the territory they're in, the things they're going to be around, and all of that before the mule will get comfortable doing that. So they're not necessarily stubborn. I wrote an article years ago, and where in my article I said mules are not as stubborn like people think they are. They're usually just smarter than the people handling them.
Mm-hmm. I hear that. We could say mules are highly skeptical.
Exactly.
And just trying to figure folks out. Now, Kevin, have you ever entered your mules for the top mule prize?
No, I always just participate in the parade because, like Harvey said, with the way stuff is scheduled, you can't really participate in stuff that's going on at the park that day and participate in the parade.
Yeah.
So I always do the wagon train and the parade.
You ever think about maybe just entering into the competition one year?
Well, like Harvey also said, you got to have a really nice pair, and mine's made for working and pulling the wagon, so I don't really participate in any of those events.
I got it. You got working mules, not fancy mules.
Correct.
Perfect. All right, let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll learn more about the origin of Mule Day, and we'll learn how mules are different from horses. Do you have a question about mules? Tweet us at This Is Nashville. We'll be right back. I'm Khalil Ekulona, and this is Nashville. This hour, we've been talking about the Mule Day Festival. The annual springtime event in Maury County celebrates this hardworking animal. Now, let's learn more about the history of the event and get to understand mules much better. Mule owner Kevin Vaughn and Louise Mills and Harvey Spann from Mule Day are still with us. Again, thanks to you all for being here today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm wondering, how did Mule Day start? Louise, can you tell us about the early origins of Mule Day?
Well, actually, the first mule was given to our President George Washington by the King of Spain, and that was in like 1785. And probably a year later, there were enough owners in our country that brought it up to like 83,000 mules. So everybody was interested in the mules once they saw them.
It's kind of like keeping up with the Joneses a little bit. You get a mule, everybody wants one. So what was Mule Day called back then?
It was a breeder's day or a trader's day. And in 1934, it became a mule day. But that was before our time. So during that time, it was discontinued, and then there was lack of interest for that. But in 1974, we had our first Mule Day here in Maury County.
All right. Now, I want to go back a little bit to the 1800s. As we know, that was a very, very different time in the country. And now, in a 2007 interview, blues musician Doc Blakey said, quote, "I was born in Columbia, Tennessee, known notoriously around the USA as Muletown. We have an event there that's called the Mule Day Parade. It's actually what put Columbia on the map. Mule Day years ago was a day where they sold enslaved people mules, horses, but now people celebrate it and they have parades, but a lot of people don't know the true origins of it," end quote. Question for you, have any of you ever heard this history where enslaved people were sold at Mule Day?
I have not. I have never heard that. I don't know what happened in the 1800s or 1700s because I wasn't around then. So, not in my time anyway.
I have not ever heard that either. What I was brought up to believe that it was a day that farmers would come to Columbia to trade mules or to get their seeds ready to plant for the next year or that coming year, or to maybe trade pigs or buy chickens and stuff of that nature.
All right. Well, thank you guys for that. Maybe that's something we can look forward to, look into a little bit more on This Is Nashville. Now, Harvey, tell me, the event had a couple pauses, one because of a world war, and second, as Louise mentioned, a lack of interest, but you started it back up. So take us back to 1974.
I won't take all the credit. I was there. I was on the original committee that worked as a planning committee for the prospect of bringing Mule Day back. We knew the history of it in the past, and we just made an effort to study it and actually to look at the feasibility of the Maury County Bridle and Saddle Club, which was only 2 years old then in its own name. And we as a club decided that we would give it a try to put it on because there was still a lot of mules in Maury County, a lot of interest, and we had put out feelers to some of these people, and they were excited. So our club, like I said, was in its infancy, and so they allocated $500 for us to put on the first Mule Day. So we started that. We got the backing of the city, the county, and a lot of the people in the county, and we put on the first one, and it was a meager event that year. We had tried to put things in there that was used in 1934 and those early years of Mule Day, and so it has grown from that to what is going on right now. We still have a lot of the same mule events that were used and done in the early times of Mule Day, but we've added some other shows. One in particular is the riding mule show, and it's a gated riding mule show because of our location here in Tennessee, there's a lot of gated mules, and that became a big interest, and we've added that since. But Mule Day has got a significantly larger budget now than we had at the beginning at $500, and we're quite successful in the fact that we work with the city, the county, and all the people in Maury County and from around the whole country, actually. They come from near and far to enjoy Mule Day and do things with us and actually give us ideas of things to do and whatever. But we take great pride in the fact that it is family-oriented, clean. We try to keep everything. There's no drinking allowed, no foul language allowed. We try to do things in a manner that you can bring your family out here and your children and have a good time. Mm-hmm. We have people from all walks of life that come. We have anybody that wants to be involved in Mule Day and everything, they're welcome to come, and we'll enjoy having them. So,
all right, that sounds pretty awesome. I'm happy that it's a family-friendly event. You just got to watch your step to make sure you don't step in any mule dung, because I'm sure it's plenty of that on the street. So let's take this time. I want to learn more about these animals. They're fascinating. Kevin, I know that a mule is the offspring of a horse and a donkey, but is there anything particular about that combination that makes a mule?
No, not really. I mean, if you're going to have a horse, then you're going to breed a horse with a mare, and you're going to end up with a horse or a mare. But you take that jack and breed it with a mare, and then you're going to have a mule.
Okay. So it's a male horse and a female donkey. What about a male donkey and a female horse? Mule as well?
Well, it's going to be a mare of a horse of some type.
Okay.
A mare is your female. So your horse doesn't play any role in this because that's the male. So you get a jack, which is a donkey, male donkey, which we refer to as a jack, and then you get a mare, and then 12 months later, you have a mule.
Okay, so how are mules different from horses or donkeys? Are they able to physically do things that their parents cannot?
Well, you're going to hear that kind of controversy. If you own a big pair of mules versus a big pair of horses, then you're going to be whoever has the horse is going to say, hey, mine can pull more than your mules. That's just the preference of the person.
Okay. Has anybody with horses ever come to you? You have 2 mules. Have they come to you and challenged you to a pulling contest?
They have not. I mean, I do have a mare that I pull to a 1-horse buggy, a little buckboard, but my mules pull the big wagon.
Okay. If you're just tuning in, this is Nashville, and I'm your host, Khalil Lekalona. We're talking this hour about Mule Day with Louise Mills, Harvey Spann, and Kevin Vaughn. You can tweet us your comments at This Is Nashville. You have 2 mules now, Kevin. Did you grow up with them?
No, I just recently bought the pair I have. Mules was always in my family. My uncles always made a living with mules as far as cutting logs and stuff. It's basically 2 guys, a chainsaw, a pair of mules, and a log truck.
Wow.
That they made their living with. So I've been around the animal, but I always rode in the parade with someone else. Then when I got older, I was like, hey, I think I'd like to do this. But as Harvey said, I didn't know if I wanted to invest $30,000 into a hobby.
How much have you invested?
I'm probably around the $20,000 mark with my wagon, the mules, and then you have your harness that's included in with that too.
Mm-hmm. Now, Louise, have you ever owned a mule?
I have not, but my daddy used to plow with mules, so I remember those days.
Now, Kevin, I understand like the big part of the parade is for mule owners to ride around in their custom wagons. Now, from what I hear, your wagon is pretty lit, as the kids would say. Can you describe your wagon for us?
Well, I bought my wagon, but it was set up to his standards, which just had 2 seats in it. So then I took it, tore it all apart, restored it, and made it into the vision that I had. I have my parents are elderly, so they like to ride, so I had to add 2 more seats for those 2. So we get out on the weekends and ride, but a lot of time is put into folks' wagon, depending on, how much they want to spend on it and how much time they want to.
Tell me about some of the other features of your wagon.
Well, I've got lights on it for I can ride at night. I have a horn on it, radio, and you also got to have a bathroom, right?
A bathroom on the wagon.
That's right.
That's pretty cool, and the seats are pretty comfortable. Are they like bucket seats or padded?
I took mine out of a van seat, so
nice.
They have the armrest, real padded seats. You can kind of lean back in them.
Nice.
Kind of like having a recliner at home and you're riding.
There you go. Now, how long did it take you to customize this?
I worked on mine about 8 months, every chance I got. I worked on it after work. I'd work on it. I even brought the new year in working on it.
Working on it. How'd your family feel? Did they say just Kevin's out there obsessing about his wagon again?
They knew what I was working on, that I had a deadline of Mule Day, April 1st. I had to have it done, so they was very understanding about that.
Mm-hmm. Now, what color was it? What color is it?
It's kind of a walnut-like color.
Mm-hmm. You like paint and varnish it and everything?
We did.
Awesome. Okay, so I got to ask you, how much did it cost?
I paid $2,000 for the wagon, and I probably have about $4,000 in it now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's no time. That's not time. That's just material that I put on it.
But you arguably have the best wagon at Mule Day.
No, by no means, no.
What? You mean somebody's outclassing your wagon?
Oh, definitely.
What are they doing?
Well, I saw in the parade the other day, they had looked like it was a brand new stagecoach. So you're probably looking at $100,000 for that.
Wow. That's a little show offy, if you ask me.
Oh no, just what you want to put into your hobby.
Okay. Now, tell us, Louise, you've been a part of this for so long, and it sounds like such a cool event. Tell me, what does Mule Day mean to you?
Well, it means it gave me something to do after my children grew up and left me. Then I didn't have anything else to do, and I became interested in the Bridle and Saddle Club, became a member, and then got on the Mule Day committee. And I had asked one of the older guys that was on it at the time, I said, how long do I have to stay on this committee? He said, till you die. So I'm here after almost 40 years.
That's right. Well, tell me this. How does it reflect the people of Maury County?
Everybody talks about Mule Day. People locally, of course, some people say that they're going to leave town on that weekend because it's so busy. But everybody talks about Mule Day, and it helps the vendors. It helps everybody out here, but it also brings in so much to Maury County. And the businesses, the hotels, the gas and everything that they purchase while they're here, it benefits Maury County greatly.
Mm-hmm. Now, next year will be the 50th year for Mule Day. Harvey, as someone who helped to get this event started up again, that's got to feel like a real accomplishment. Tell us, what can we look forward to next year?
Well, that is still in the planning stages, and I'm glad you mentioned that it is our 50th anniversary next year, so we're going to try to do some things that are a little different. But we can't change Mule Day as it is. I mean, we'll stick with pretty much the same events and everything that we have now, the parade and all the mule pulling and the mule shows. Of course, we have everything out here that you'd have at any other festival, like arts and crafts and flea markets and vendors and all of that. They'll still be a big participant in our future Mule Days. We are actually land-bound here at Maury County Park, and we can't expand a lot, but we're talking now about maybe having the semblance of a trade day again that might go on at the same time as our Mule Day, and possibly a mule sale in some respects. Mm-hmm. So that it's all still in a planning stage and have no concrete plans set as of now. But,
well, we know one thing for certain. It's going to be, if it's not bigger and better, definitely going to be a lot of fun. I want to thank my guests for joining us today. Harvey Spann, the man who helped to refound Mule Day, Louise Mills, and he was the head of PR for Mule Day, and Kevin Vaughn, mule owner and wagon building expert. Thank you all again for being with us. And we want to thank everyone who tuned in this hour. Tomorrow, what to do with Middle Tennessee's trash is a real problem, and it's not going anywhere. How can we prevent ourselves from becoming Trashville? This is Nashville is a production of WPLN News and Nashville Public Radio. Listen back at thisisnashville.org or wherever you get your podcasts. Our producers are Steve Harouche, Rose Gilbert, and Magnolia McKay. Our digital lead is Anna Gallegos Cannon. Michaela Elias is our technical director. Our executive producer is Andrea Tudhope. The masterminds behind our theme music are LaRonja and Amir Blade. Special thanks to Chris Cofton. The conversation doesn't end here. Tweet us at This Is Nashville. Find us on Instagram and tell us what you want from our show by filling out our quick survey online. This is Nashville. I'm Khalil Ekalona. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody, and be good to each other.